Hey there, and thanks for watching. So back in 2017, I posted a 5-year plan, and this video is going to be sort of a midway update, and we're in 2020, of where I am in regard to that plan. So in that video, I set out 5 things that I hope to accomplish in the next 5 years. And they were all pretty standard things, but here's the problem with 5-year plans. So I'm going to give you an update on each of those 5 things, where I am, what's happened, what's going on. And I'm also going to tell you 3 things that I've learned from doing a 5-year plan. Because let me tell you, I used to be, when I was younger, like in my early 20s, I used to be super gung-ho about like plans and measuring and setting out like goals, and I was all about like the goal-oriented lifestyle. And I still am, and I believe that goals are super important. But here's what's changed. It's really easy, I think, the older you get, to be discouraged by the amount of time things take. So this video is my way of, I guess, getting over that discouragement, because there's some things where I'm just not, I feel like I'm not even close to where I want to be. And that's okay. And I feel like this video is me saying, that's okay, keep moving forward, no matter how slowly, keep pointing yourself in the right direction. So let me just get right into it and let you know the 5 goals that I set out in 2017 and where I am in regard to each of them. So here are my 5 goals. Number 1, buy a house on my own, have my own living space, be it a condo, cottage, what have you, just have my own living space. If you've been watching me, you know that right now I'm sharing space with my mama. We're roommates. I pay half the mortgage, and we get along together. I pay half the mortgage and the utilities, and we kind of work together in that. The goal for living together, co-living, was to make the most of the space and to be able to keep that investment in the family for her and really for all of us. I have a younger sister, and to make sure that that investment was protected. So that's kind of where that is. However, we're both at the point where, and we were back in 2017 as well, where we're ready to sort of strike out on our own, and I wanted to be financially supported and on my own. I wanted to be financially prepared to be able to strike out on my own, to buy my own place. Goal number 2 was to help care for, sell, or downsize this house that I'm living in right now. Goal number 3 was to be and stay debt-free. Goal number 4 was to be able to work location independent, so to be confident enough and strong enough in my job skills to be able to work from anywhere. And goal number 5 was to buy a Subaru, which for me, and I guess I have 2 other friends that we kind of coined this term, because a Subaru is sort of your quintessential family vehicle, or has become that. My first car was a Subaru, and I love the brand. Growing up, my mom drove Volvos. We had 2 Volvos when I was growing up. That's how long they last. For like the 18 years of my life, we had 2 Volvo station wagons. But the idea of buying a Subaru was to sort of move into that family life, to get married and have kids. So those are my goals. Those are my 5 goals. And I'll give you an update on each of them. And then at the end, I'll tell you kind of my tips for how to set goals. I have 3 tips that I've learned that I keep reminding myself about when it comes to setting goals and tracking yourself and how you achieve them. So where I am in buying a house, being on my own, is not great. I don't have the immediate liquid savings to be able to do that and to put a down payment down. But I've been looking, and I feel like that's sort of the first step, is to know where you want to head. So I had this like vague idea of, okay, I want to buy a house, and now I'm like, okay, how much can I afford? What's my purchasing power? What do I need to save in order to put down a healthy down payment? Where am I thinking I would like to live? What type of a house would I like to purchase? So these things are kind of percolating, and I have actually made steps in regard to that. I've met with a realtor, actually for selling this house number 2, item number 2, and also for myself. And I've talked to friends. I've done some sort of market research and looked at the areas that are the most competitive in thinking about where I'd like to be if I do stay in this area. So I have made plans, albeit not on the financial side. So I've done the legwork. So would I say I'm making progress in that? Yes. Is it at the speed that I want? No, but it almost never is. So that's where I am in regard to number one. Number two, help sell or downsize my house. This are my current family home. And this one I think I have actually made progress in. If you've seen any of my videos on my decluttering journey and how I was decluttering for my mom to come back from being overseas, I feel like I have made some significant progress there. And that's really encouraging because all that takes is time and discipline and sort of the will to persevere through these mountains of clutter. And that I feel like of all 5 items, that's probably the one where I feel the most sort of pride in being able to, in what I've accomplished in getting that done, because I feel like that's helped not only me, but also helped my mom and really improving her outlook. And I feel like that's for sure a positive element. We've both moved forward there, and that's really encouraging. So number 2 is a huge win. Number 3, to be and stay debt-free. Well, I haven't added any new debt to my debt total, which is good. Have I gotten as far, have I made as much progress as I would have liked to have made? No. So in between the time that I filmed my first video in 2017 and now, I would say maybe I've gotten rid of like 20% of my debt, which is about the standard normal rate, which is kind of disappointing, a little bit disappointing, but it's better than nothing. So on the plus side, I haven't added any new debt. On the downside, I haven't really made any huge strides in getting rid of what I already have. So I'm going to call that a net even. So net even on number 3. Number 4, location independent work. Have I made forward motion in that? Not as much as I would have liked. However, I have realized it's kind of been reinforced to me how important it is to be able to work location independent. So what I have done as far as that goes is there's a service called We Work Remotely, and I actually heard about that from someone here on YouTube. She got her job via that website, and now I get their emails. I think they send out maybe 2 or 3 a week with weekly job listings, and I've been looking at them and kind of checking them out and figuring out what I would need in order to move into that type of work and the companies that are hiring and what they're looking for. So I don't really think that it would take that much work at all for me to move from what I currently do, which is I'm an account exec in the digital marketing field. So I don't think it would be that difficult for me to move from there to a different, to entirely remote. I think that would actually be really exciting. It would just be sitting down and sort of writing out, it's like any standard resume update, writing out my accomplishments, what I've done, my skills, things like that. So have I sat down and done that? No. But have I looked at the market and really become, I think, more in tune with what's out there and what's available? Yes. So similar to buying a house, I'm closer. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm closer than I was. So I feel like that's a win as well. Number 5, buying that Subaru. Where am I? So that's why it's number 5. And I have to be completely transparent that this is the one that is the most exciting. It's the one that I am kind of the most emotionally invested in, and I have to say that it does. I mean, these things are all intertwined. You can't separate your financial from your relationships because they're so closely related. That said, I don't have to let gains or losses in one area affect the other area. That's very difficult to do. If you're experiencing financial stress, of course it's going to impact your relationships. And if your relationships are going well, you're going to be that much more motivated to do well on your financial side. So where am I specifically in regard to this? So let me just say, when I made this video in 2017, I was in the middle of a really kind of sticky, silly, relationship situation. It was not the best. It wasn't even a situation. It was my own sort of mental silliness. It was me being mentally silly and immature. So I was in the middle of that. That sort of concluded around March of 2018, thanks to some really, really fantastic mentors and me really being clear about about requests that I had made. I had made a request for a certain action, and I was bold enough, I guess silly enough, to stand by that request and say, no, I would like this. I would like this. And that happened, and that was able to conclude and wrap up in March and of 2018. And then from there, it was just sort of forward motion ever since. So would I say I'm moving forward? Absolutely. Am I exactly where I want to be? Not so much. But is anybody? And I think what I've learned the most through this process, and I guess reevaluating it, is that in its practice, I'm content where I am. And that is the hardest lesson. So my 2 words for 2020, I've kind of come back to that idea of doing like a 1-word, 2-word kind of thing. So my words for 2020 are contentment and curiosity. So being content, and then from that contentment, allowing a sense of the curious and the wondering to kind of push you forward, as opposed to this need to be fulfilled and this like drive to achieve something. So specifically in regard to relationships, I can say that I feel like I'm moving forward. I'm very, very satisfied and encouraged and excited by the relationships that are in my life right now. I feel remarkably blessed and fortunate to have people around me that support healthy relationships and are able to tell me and encourage me in healthy ways, and able to affirm me and support me so that I feel that I can be present in a relationship in a good way. So that's number 1. And number 2, I feel really blessed to connect with people in a way that feels that I'm so fortunate to have. So I feel like I'm so fortunate to have these connections that are just remarkable. That said, I guess from the whole time from 2017 until now, I experienced a couple of disappointments, and they're just going to come. That's just normal to be disappointed. And that's okay. And it doesn't mean that the person's bad or that you're bad. What it does mean is that for me, I know that disappointments come because my expectations are not in line. I'm the only one responsible for my expectations, and they're because of my disappointments are a direct result of my expectations. So the moral of that story is adjust your expectations. How does this impact my financial life? I've seen myself kind of go up and down in regard to spending, in regard to being on top of tracking my finances and making a spending plan and sticking to it. I've seen that my relationships in the past have really affected that. So actually throughout the whole process of 2017 to now, I've been kind of proud of myself and sticking to my habit of financial abundance. And that's keeping track of what I have, appreciating what I have, making a plan, sticking to that plan, and then recapping myself on that plan. So those are the 4 things that I've really learned when it comes to being steady and stable in a relationship, and making sure that I am caring for myself within that relationship, no matter what happens or the other person does. So that's my update on the 5-year plan. And here are some things that I've learned that kind of help me move forward. Number 1, things will almost never take the amount of time you think they will. Either they will take much longer or they will take much shorter. That's okay. Plan for that. So 5 years is, I feel like, a reasonable time to achieve these things, but you never know what might happen. Like something catastrophic might happen, and on the other hand, something really wonderful might happen. So there's so many things that can affect your timeline, and that's all right. Number 2, if you can measure it, you can manage it. And that's a quote from Peter Drucker, the great management expert. But what I take from that is keep measuring your progress, because for better or for worse, that's all you have. Keep track of yourself and your achievements, your setbacks, and just note them down. Don't let them, for me, I have to remember not to let them paralyze me or completely knock me out, but to use them as encouragement or opportunities for growth, for the better or for the worse. I mean, whether they're perceived as being positive or negative, they're always opportunities for growth. Keep measuring them. It's the only measurement you have. And number 3 is don't quit. That's the biggest thing, because I don't know if you're anything like me, but I have a tendency to just throw the whole thing out. If one thing goes wrong, I'm like, well, the whole thing, forget it. Forget it. Don't do that because I'll get mad at myself when I realize that, something happened. Okay. And then I feel like I plop down and I don't move. And then I see someone else that's just kept on moving slowly and steadily, and they've achieved what I wanted to achieve and what I could have achieved if I had just kept moving. So that's my biggest takeaway is don't quit. Don't quit. Don't stop moving. Expect the setbacks, learn from them, and keep going. Keep yourself in the game. So that is my quick update on my 5-year plan. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll keep watching. Bye.